Welcome to the Living Habitually platform, where we curate and explore the practices and principles of a life lived well. I'm your curator and host, Nicodemus Christopher.
Say less. I take my habits and my disciplines and my daily non-negotiables very seriously. So naturally, now that I'm a father and I have a 4-year-old son, Nicodemus Christopher II, I've started to implement some of those same practices with him. Obviously, it's a little bit different and takes a little bit of a different form. So the way that it looks like with him is we have a theme for every day of the week. And I call them my 5 A's. So 2 days of the week, we'll have activity, right? We'll participate in activity. It's usually some sporting event or something of that nature. 2 days of the week, we call accumulation, right? So that accumulation day looks like the accumulation of knowledge, the accumulation of facts and information. So we strive to educate ourselves in some area. So we have activity, we have accumulation, we have adventure, right? So we'll usually go do something that we've never ever done before and just have a good time and enjoy each other's company. Another thing that we'll do, um, which is probably one of his favorite, is the arts. And that's where we take time, whether it's a movie or a theater or any of the arts. We'll participate and engage in those. And then the last one is acknowledgement. We just take a day out of the week to acknowledge and thank God for all that He's done, all of the blessings that He's bestowed upon us, and just sit back and enjoy a day of rest with each other. On this particular day, it was our art day. And Nicodemus and I were outside, and he has this art book that I got him, and it's basically a bunch of blank canvases that he's able to draw on and do different types of art on. So he pulled out his canvas and he's drawing, and he did 3 different pieces of art. You know, I remember one of them was he and I holding hands, and he drew the sun at the top, and he had 2 other. One was more of a mural. We'll fast forward, and he finished, and he was so excited that he finished that he went to rip rip the canvas out of the thing that it was contained in. And we talked about that in previous episodes, where there's an environment that sustains the value of a thing. So because of that, we have to be very cognizant and very cautious about taking something out of that environment that sustains and protects its value too quickly. And that was a topic of another episode. But in this episode, I want to focus on something slightly different, or in this story, excuse me. So he rips it out, and I see the look of disappointment on his face, and he's frustrated because he was just so excited that he had this work of art, and now it's not intact anymore. And I see him get up, and he walks over to the trash can, and he puts his foot on the trash can to lift the lid up. And as he's about to throw it away, I ask him, I said, Nicodemus, what are you doing? What's wrong, son? And he said something to the degree of, Dada, my art is broken. And I stopped him. I said, Nicodemus, just because something is not intact doesn't mean that we throw it away. And right away, it made me think of the work that I do as a manager for young professional athletes, because a lot of the times you all judge them by headlines. And because of what you want to see in the headlines, you think that it's okay to just dispose of them and throw them away. But I don't have that luxury. I don't define them by the headlines. I define them by their heart. And because I've taken the time to get to know them and understand the environments that they've come from and understand the things that they've experienced, and understand that in a lot of cases they've been exploited since they were a very young age, they've been taken advantage of, and people have just tried to extract value out of them and never poured back into them. I understand that a lot of times they show up broken. And what you see in the headlines is just a symptom. It's not the cause, it's a symptom of that brokenness and the thing that caused them to not be intact. And just because something is damaged doesn't mean it's the end. And just because something's not intact doesn't mean we throw it away. And just like that work of art that my son had, I think that each of our lives is a masterpiece. It's a work of art. And sometimes in life, it's broken and it's not intact. But that doesn't mean that you have to throw it all away. And the reason why I call this platform the art of living habitually is because I believe firmly that each of our lives is this masterpiece of art. And art is about the unique expression of ideas or imaginations and the demonstration of skill. So I think that there is a unique idea for each of our lives that necessitated our creation and that necessitated our lives being painted on this canvas of this our lives being painted on this canvas, and it's our responsibility to demonstrate that skill. And in talking about an art, I started to think about a curator. Curators at museums, curators at art galleries, because their responsibility is to amplify the value of a work of art. And sometimes the older the work of art is, sometimes it's been broken, sometimes it's been spread all around the world in different pieces, and they have to travel to get these different pieces and bring them back and put them intact in order to present them to the world and showcase their value. And I think that we have to look at life through this perspective of being a curator. And we have to be willing to go to the ends of the earth to put the pieces back together to achieve wholeness. And what we're discussing here is this concept of reconciliation. And if you look at the etymology of the word reconciliation, for someone to reconcile, it means to bring back together forcefully to make whole. Because you see, sometimes when we were ripped apart, there was damage. So putting it back intact requires a forcefulness. It requires an effort. It requires a relentlessness, a never give up. I think we have to look at our lives and be willing to reconcile and go through the process of reconciliation. And yes, when one of the things that I told Nicodemus, I said, just because things aren't intact doesn't mean that we should throw it away. And I told him to put it to the side. That part made me think about, it's not everybody's responsibility to help put something or someone back together. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is you don't give up and you don't throw away a work of art just because it's not intact anymore. And one of the frameworks that I want to share with you that we use personally to help people put their lives back together, or even to help them present their value to the world. And as I talked about, a curator amplifying the value of a thing, that's the framework that I'm going to teach you, the AMP and Amplify. So AMP, how to amp your value, how to amplify and present your value. That A is arrange. I think there is an idea. Remember, we talked about art is the unique expression of our idea or imagination and the demonstration of skill. I think that there is an idea that necessitated each of our creation. And when you get that idea and you get a vision of your life, you have to prioritize life according to that vision. And once I've gotten that vision and I'm aware of it, and I prioritize life and arrange life according to that vision, then I manage my life according to that vision. Now I can manage. That's the second part. So arrange is the first part, manage is the second part. So now I know, because I have a vision, I know how to manage my life, because now I know what to say yes to and what to say no to. And that's very important, because that vision gives us a character. And character in play in management and managing our character. There's this saying that I say, you can't say character without saying care, right? And yes, it's not spelled the same way, but it's a reminder that what we do and what we don't care about reflects who we are as people. So now that we have a vision and we know our character and we're managing our life through disciplines, then now we can go to the next step, which is present. Right? Because if I've arranged my life and managed my life and prepared for the presentation, when I get to the point of presentation, I will be ready to present the value that I uniquely have. And I'm not trying to be anybody else or pretend to do this or pretend. I'm presenting the unique value. I'm demonstrating the skill, demonstrating the unique value that has been placed inside of me. So my word of encouragement for you is that just because something's not intact doesn't mean we have to throw it away. And I'll leave you with this. I love the concept of reconciliation, but I also like what we're talking about here. I also like the concept of restoration. And the thing that most people look over when it comes to restoration is that it is not a restoration unless you use the original blueprint or you use the original materials. So I think that that vision for our life, the idea that necessitated our creation, that's the original blueprint. And you have to realize that the original materials are still there. Even if they're broken, even if they're not intact, they're still there. So we have to look at what we still have, what's in our hands. What didn't we give up on? What's the through line in our life, that unique thing that we're always able to do, that unique desire, that unique passion that we always have? I think we have to look at life through those lenses, look at the original blueprint and look at the original material. What's in our hands, what's in our heart, what's in our heads, what's in our minds, what do we still have? And we have to bring it back together to present the value that is unique to each and every one of us.